Hi, my name is Flo Ruiz, and I'm the training specialist here for Private and Public School F1 Exchange, also known as PSE. I want to welcome everyone to the PSE team and also to Part 2 of our local coordinator training. This training is designed to provide you with information and best practices that will help you reach success as a new local coordinator with PSE. You'll be taking a confirmation of understanding quiz upon completion of this training, so taking notes is highly recommended. Also, you may pause the training at any time in order to catch up on any notes that you're taking. You will be completing some knowledge checks along the way, which will include some of the most important information to gain from this training. Let's get started. In Part 2 of the Local Coordinator Training, we will explore the following topics: student arrival and orientations, the student adjustment cycle, student supervision, the disciplinary process, conflict resolution, and student relocation, student travel, insurance, and departure. Now we will take a closer look into each of these areas. Student arrival and orientations. Now we will explore some important points regarding student arrival. You will receive your student's flight information notification from the PSE ZAP system. Encourage the host family to begin communication with their student after the placement is confirmed. Please verify with all families if they will be able to meet and pick up their students at the airport. You may need to assist with a student airport pickup. Double-check flights the day of arrival, as many flights are delayed or canceled. If the student missed their flight or if it has been canceled and they have contacted you or the host family, please contact the PSE office 24-hour emergency number at 877-222-9803 or 503-222-9803. Please ensure that these numbers are programmed in your phone so that they can be quickly and easily accessible. Two separate orientations need to be conducted before and during a student's foreign exchange experience. The host family orientation, or HFO, should be conducted before the student arrives. Also, remember that the host family orientation needs to be completed on a separate date than the host family interview. The student orientation, or STO, needs to occur within 2 weeks after the student arrives to the United States. Also, the signed student orientation form needs to be uploaded into the ZAP system soon after the orientation is conducted. Remember to have both the host family and student sign and date their orientation sheets and then upload these forms into the ZAP system. In addition, the host family orientation, or HFO, is required annually for all PSE host families. The HFO should be conducted within 60 days of the student's arrival. We don't want the host family to forget the information that is conveyed. The student orientation, or STO, is only required for new PSE students. Here is an important note. Returning PSE students do not need a full orientation, but they need to sign off on the PSE Returning Student Orientation Confirmation Form to verify that they have previously received our orientation and their student packet for the current school year. This form is on page 2 of the STO sign-off sheet and is also located in the ZAP Resources section under Returning Student Orientation Sign-off Sheet. Let's begin with the host family orientation, which again should occur before the student arrives or moves into the host family home. The host family orientation form and PowerPoint will be available to you. Key points to cover in the HFO are a PSE overview, how to prepare for the student's arrival and what to do when they get here, common adjustment issues and symptoms of culture shock, the importance of effective communication, especially during the adjustment process, and the cultural differences that may impact and affect understanding. Setting proper expectations for the student, especially with the use of the Student Expectations Worksheet. Establishing host family guidelines. A review of the PSE rules and regulations. And conflict resolution and disciplinary procedures. Additional key points are the overuse of technology, which is one of the most common student issues, and what to do if this issue occurs. Money, budgeting and who is responsible for particular expenses, school information, academics and family balance, which includes how to engage the student in family activities, student travel request process and procedures, insurance procedures, monthly student progress reports, student safety tips, emergency procedures, and student departure procedures. Remember that the student orientation, or STO, needs to be completed within 2 weeks of the student's arrival date to the United States. The student orientation form and PowerPoint will be available to you. Here are some key points that will be covered. The PSE overview, arrival and the first few weeks, high school in America, student budget and expectations, American customs, cross-cultural interaction and conflict resolution, how to overcome common challenges, local coordinator, host family, and student responsibilities, the importance of effective communication, PSE student rules and regulations, and common student issues and ways to overcome them. Additional points are student monthly progress reports, travel procedures, student insurance, student safety, and departure preparations. Please remember that the student orientation needs to occur within 2 weeks of the student's arrival, and the student orientation form needs to be uploaded into the ZAP system. Student Adjustment Cycle. Before we dive into student supervision, it's important to understand the pattern of adjustment that most students experience in a homestay situation. This example is for the academic year program student. As you can see, the cycle begins in August and ends in May. The calendar year program student may experience the same pattern of adjustment. It's important to remember that not all students go through each cycle, nor will all students have this exact experience. However, this adjustment cycle is fairly typical, and it helps to be aware of it ahead of time. The numbers 1 through 5 represent the specific stages that the student may experience. You will understand the placement of each number as we explore each stage of the cycle. In the first stage, the student has been preparing for months and has finally arrived to America. Everything is a new and exciting adventure, and they're the center of attention in their new family. This is the honeymoon period when they're also anticipating the start of school. So overall, this is a stage filled with anticipation and positive energy. In the second stage, the student might question their decision to become an exchange student. They're settling into a normal routine. They're no longer going to new places. They're treated like one of the family members. They may have responsibilities that they never had at home. The host family has rules, chores, and curfews. The school may be more difficult than they ever imagined. In other words, in this stage, the honeymoon is over. In the third stage, also known as the down period, the student may feel somewhat lonely, isolated, or homesick. They may even feel depressed with the approach of the holidays. They might miss their friends and family and everything that is familiar to them. Again, they might question why they're on this journey. In the fourth stage, things are going much better. The student is making new friends and forming lasting relationships. The student's English has improved, so now they are thinking and perhaps dreaming in English. They're getting more involved in activities with their host family, school, and friends. This is a positive time for the student. In the fifth and last stage of the cycle, the student may reflect deeply on their exchange experience. They should now feel very comfortable physically and emotionally in their host family home. The student will have made many great memories of the school year, which will create emotions. They might wonder what it'll be like returning to their home country and may feel some difficulty in the process of departing. In the host family orientation, there is an academic emphasis that host families need to understand, especially as part of the student adjustment process. Host families need to recognize that academics are very important for students, and they may need to spend more time focused on their studies. It's important for the host family to remember that homework can usually take an international student twice as long to complete than an American student. The student receives a great deal of pressure from their natural parents to do well in school and go to a good university. The cultural expectations are different. In their home country, a good child can be defined by their academic standing. In the host family orientation, we also let the host families know that if their student is having trouble balancing their academic and family experience, here are 3 ways that the host family can engage the student within their family. Have dinner together and encourage them to share about their day. Invite the student to participate in family activities, like playing a game or making dinner. And ask the student what activities they would enjoy doing as a family. Similarly, in the student orientation, students are encouraged to show appreciation to their host family. Getting good grades is acknowledged. However, the importance of showing the host family appreciation is also emphasized. Students are encouraged that even if they are busy studying, it's easy to take a little time to show their host family that they appreciate them. It is the LC's role to guide students while they adjust to host family life and show appreciation to their host family. Here are some quick ways that students can show appreciation. Having dinner with the host family and sharing about their day. Participating in some activities like playing a game or helping with dinner. Using courteous words and phrases such as please, thank you, and I'm sorry. We also let students know that if their host family feels like the student is a part of the family, then the student is much more likely to receive additional help or assistance from them. Again, it's important for you as a local coordinator to understand that these kids are busy, yet it's in their best interest to show appreciation to their host family. It's also important to let students know how their little tokens of appreciation can go a long way and in turn benefit them. Host families need to understand that their students are very busy, but should still expect a certain level of appreciation. Students need to understand that even though they are busy, they still can show appreciation to their host family in very quick yet meaningful ways. Having this mutual understanding is an important part of a successful balance. By understanding each other's perspectives, here are the benefits. Benefits to the student: a happy exchange experience, potentially more assistance from the host family, for example, when needing rides to activities or help with homework, or being included in more family outings and fun activities. Benefits to the host family: a happy exchange experience, more positive interaction between family members, including the student. Benefits to you as the local coordinator: an easier exchange experience for you, your student, and the host family. A secure placement that could last for the entire program of your student, and a returning host family. Facilitate this mutual understanding between your host families and students. Also, teach your students that they will get more with honey than with vinegar, so to speak. It's important for both host families and students to know that kindness and a mutual understanding are the keys to a happy hosting and program experience. Now, let's explore student supervision, which is one of the key roles that you will have as a local coordinator. It's important to know how to develop a trusting and supportive relationship with your students and your host families. So, how do you develop a trusting and supportive relationship with your students and host families? Here are some best practices. Always return calls and emails within 24 hours. This shows professionalism and builds trust and credibility. Always show professionalism and that you're a great representation of PSE. Be impartial. In other words, don't give your own personal opinions. Stay neutral. Always make reference to PSE rules and regulations when there's a question or an issue. This way, you won't be seen as the bad guy. Always listen with an open heart and mind. Let whoever is speaking finish conveying their idea and try not to interrupt them. This will help build trust. Here are additional best practices. Show empathy when you're talking with your student. Let them know that you understand where they're coming from. Use I statements like, I understand how this would make you feel that way. Be friendly, however, don't try to be your student's friend. Remember to stay professional and maintain appropriate boundaries with them. Plan home visits in advance so that plans can be made. Always be on time for meetings and communicate if you'll be late or need to cancel. This shows courtesy and professionalism. This also helps to maintain credibility and builds trust. Let's talk about PSE's time requirements with regards to student supervision. The local coordinators should make every effort to meet in person with their student every month, but if they can't, they should meet with their student the next month. You can meet at the mall for ice cream, coffee, pick them up from school or practice, or at a birthday outing as examples. If you meet them at the home, make sure to speak with them in private so that they feel comfortable sharing their feelings without the family present. Local coordinators should not meet with the student in the host family home behind closed doors. If a private meeting needs to occur, you should take the student to a quiet place for further discussion, such as a coffee shop. In the event you cannot meet with your student, you should contact them by phone to complete the monthly contact form, not by email or text. The local coordinator should speak with the host family every month and meet with the host family in person in their home every other month. Here, you should go into the home, preferably with all host family members attending the meeting. In other words, dropping the student off and waving to the family from the car does not constitute an in-home visit. When you meet in person, this will give you the opportunity to see the other person's body language, facial expressions, and gestures. You'll gain a lot more insight about how the person feels and what they are thinking. Later in this training, we will go into more detail regarding the monthly contact form and its requirements. With regards to overall student supervision, here are additional requirements. When meeting with the student and the host family, make sure that you're speaking to them separately when you're asking the monthly questions which are contained in the form. This will give them the opportunity to be more candid and honest about their experiences. If you'd like to ask these questions during one of the activities mentioned before, that's okay as long as you talk with them separately. Never ask your student the monthly questions or attempt to resolve any issues when in front of other students. This should be a private conversation without any interruptions. Also, the local coordinator should never threaten to send a student home. We have a corrective action process that needs to be followed, and threatening to send home a student is strictly prohibited. Here are additional requirements. The local coordinator needs to be prepared to host a student in an emergency situation, or nominate a designated emergency family to host that student. The local coordinator should talk to the regional manager about the designated emergency family to ensure that there is a current and complete host family application on file, and also that all household members have a criminal background check on file. The student will not be able to stay with them in any case, emergency or otherwise, unless all adults over the age of 18 years of age have a clear background check. In addition, the local coordinator needs to adhere to the PSE representative's code of conduct, which was signed in the paperwork when hired on with PSE. Now, let's talk a bit more about communication. It's very important to remember that the local coordinator needs to ensure that the host family does not interfere with or eliminate the communication between the student and the local coordinator, the sending organization, and the natural parents. The student should always be able to contact the local coordinator. The sending organization is a line of communication between the natural parents and the student. Although the student has limitations and guidelines with regards to their communication with their natural parents, for example, through the phone or the internet, this communication should never be cut off. The guidelines need to be fair and reasonable. Please understand that the overuse of the established guidelines creates homesickness and hardship making American friends. As an example, the host family may require the student to keep a computer or phone in a common area, such as the kitchen or living room at night. However, they shouldn't take the phone or computer and lock it away. In addition, the host family may never isolate the student. For example, A host family should never ground the student or prohibit them from talking to their natural parents or setting organization. Field staff, including local coordinators and regional managers, and host families should not contact the sending organization or natural parents. This applies even before the student arrives and during the student's program. We already have a distinct line of communication established, which needs to be followed. If the host family is communicating with their student and the natural parents want to say hi or introduce themselves, that is fine. But any requests or exchange of program information should not be communicated directly to the host family. The PSE office should be the only one to contact the sending organizations. Having this streamlined process helps to eliminate potential issues such as conflict of interest, language barriers, and misunderstandings. A local coordinator needs to immediately report changes in the host family's circumstances to the PSE office. The main reason for this rule is due to liability. If the student talks with their natural parents about a change and the sending organization is not aware, this will become an even bigger issue. It's very important to be proactive. Examples of changes that need to be reported are if a family member moves in or out, if the host family moves out of their house, any loss of employment, if there are criminal charges against a host family member, if the host family has new contact information, if the host family is going to host another student, either short-term or long-term. This situation always requires approval before another student moves into the host family home. Or if the host family is considering fostering or adopting a child. In this situation, an additional level of screening will need to occur. A local coordinator will need to report a sick or injured student in need of medical attention to the regional manager as soon as it is reported by the host family. Please make sure to provide as many details as possible so that the sending organization and the natural parents can be properly informed. The Student Monthly Progress Reports are known as Monthly Contact Forms, or MCFs. A specific MCF training and a step-by-step guide to MCFs are both located in the ZAP system. The local coordinator completes one MCF for each supervised student. The MCFs are due by the 25th to your regional manager for review, and all forms should be completed by this date. These forms are also located in the ZAP system. When you're filling out the form, make sure that you're saving your work often. This will prevent loss of information and time. Make sure to keep the information entered within each field relevant to that question. Don't elaborate on a different topic if it's not relevant to the question. Ensure that the student's school grade report is uploaded into the form. This is very important and sometimes easily missed. Please remember that for the first month's MCF, the expectations worksheet will be uploaded in lieu of a grade report. Be sure to include facts on the report. Also, avoid venting or making judgments on the form. As a best practice, you'll want to keep detailed notes on each of your students and log the dates that you made personal contact. This will make it easier for you when it's time to enter your MCFs into ZAP. Being organized both on paper and electronically will help you be more efficient with your time. The questions on the monthly contact form are organized into 3 sections: host family, student, and local coordinator. The goal is to obtain an understanding from all 3 perspectives. Current grades need to be included with every MCF, with the exception of the very first report. For the first MCF, a completed host family expectations worksheet needs to be uploaded in place of a grade report. Please note that it is a PSE requirement that we have a monthly grade report for all students. Most private high schools have an online grade portal with a password in which you can check on grades. We highly recommend you contact your school to be given access for all of your students wherever possible. If you do not have direct access to the student's grades, then it is the student's responsibility to have their teachers fill out the MCF grade report available in the ZAP Resources section. The student needs to return the completed report to you, their local coordinator. Current grades should be uploaded into the MCF in order for the submitted report to receive credit. You may upload the grade report from the grade portal or use the MCF grade report, which is available in a fillable PDF format. Uploaded grades should be clear and legible. If the online grades are not legible, it is important to use the fillable version so that the sending organizations can read them easily. Finally, please inform your students that if teachers are reluctant to give grades because of upcoming exams, ask them to estimate so that the report can be submitted on time by the 25th of the month. An MCF without grades cannot be accepted. If you experience difficulty receiving grades from the school on time, please contact your regional manager. Tutoring is not optional if deemed necessary by PSE or the school. Students are expected to maintain at least a C grade in all classes. Students who fall below this standard will be required to sign up for tutoring. Also, if a student's English language skills are deemed insufficient to ensure success in the PSE program or at school, they will need to sign up for tutoring. If a student is not making the appropriate effort to meet academic expectations, then they will be provided with disciplinary documentation. If the student is unable to meet the academic expectations of the school and PSE, then they will be unable to continue on the program. If tutoring is deemed necessary, the local coordinator will need to help the student secure a tutor who accommodates both the student and host family schedules. Please check first with your student's school for tutoring services, and if available, help the student schedule school tutoring assistance. If the school doesn't offer tutoring services, or if the student needs to seek additional tutoring assistance, then offer help with finding a tutor in the local area. Here are the best practices for finding a tutor. Ask for a tutor recommendation from the school. Use the wiseant.com website. Or Google search local area tutoring services. Please communicate the scheduled tutoring information and cost to your regional manager and the PSE office. As a reminder, monthly reports may be completed over the phone with the host family unless you're due to visit them in person. You can also complete the reports over the phone with the student if you've already met with the student face-to-face that month. Please note that completing the monthly reports through email and/or text communication is not acceptable. It is important to speak with the student and host family over the phone or in person to complete an MCF. Please note that both September and April reports have several supplemental questions included at the end of the reports, which are designed to gain a bit more information about the student. Detailed information regarding these questions is provided in the MCF training and guide, which are both located in the resources section of ZAP. Here is an important note. Please include pictures of your students doing notable things. When we read through MCFs, we use this information to create our blog posts, which can be found on the PSE website. These reports are translated and shared with the sending organization and natural parents. They always appreciate seeing photos of their children involved in activities such as their student performing in a play, on an excursion with their host family, involvement in a community service project, participating in a robotics competition, or involvement in a sports activity. Additional best practices when completing the monthly progress reports include: provide both the students' and host family's perspective. Don't make the report about you or your opinion. State the facts and avoid venting or making judgments on the form. All dates on the form should be accurate. Grades and attendance should be included. When you are communicating about a student, always remember to focus on the behavior and not on the student's character as a person. Please remember these reports should be an accurate reflection of their current situation. Again, when you're filling out the form in ZAP, make sure that you're saving your work often. This will prevent loss of information and time. Always reread your work before submitting. Watch for typos, grammar, and follow the guidelines for written communication, which we'll be exploring next. Our local coordinators do such an amazing job overseeing our students and host families, and the monthly report is one of the only opportunities for the sending organizations and the natural parents to see your direct work. We want these reports to be the best reflection of our LCs and all your tremendous efforts. Regarding written communication, it's very important that you're mindful of and careful with your word choice. The PSE office will often use your words when communicating with the sending organization. Here are some guidelines with regards to written communication. Always respond within 24 hours of receiving an email. This is professional courtesy and will also build trust and credibility. Although tone can be misinterpreted in written communication, always try to maintain one that is friendly and non-judgmental. Any reports should be well researched with facts to support statements made. Avoid using the caps lock when writing words. This can be misinterpreted as yelling or shouting, and it is not professional. Always name the behavior as the problem, not the student's character. Focus on the behavior that needs to change and avoid labeling the student. Always use spell check before sending emails. This will ensure that your emails look more professional and well constructed. Also, it's very important that you use the student's full name in all email communication. Many students have the same first name, so using their full name will help to avoid confusion. A great resource entitled Guidelines for Written Communication is located in the Resources section of ZAP. Now, we will talk about what procedures to follow in the case of specific emergencies. For accident or illness, host families and coordinators are instructed to always seek medical attention for the student when needed. The student's insurance card and medical release will need to be presented to the medical provider to obtain treatment. It is wise to have an extra copy of all student documents in a separate file in the host family home. For serious medical emergencies, contact the PSE office immediately by calling 877-222-9803 or 503-222-9803. This is a 24-hour emergency answering service. It would be a good idea to program this number into your phone for easy access. After calling this number, then proceed with the doctor's advice for emergency treatment. The PSE office will contact and relay information to and from the natural parents abroad. All students will need to complete insurance procedures as outlined in the insurance section of the student handbook. If you receive information that a student is missing or has run away, immediately call the PSE emergency number listed above. Contact your local law enforcement agency as soon as you have determined the student is missing or has been abducted. Do not delay in reporting a lost or missing student to law enforcement. Disciplinary process, conflict resolution, and student relocation. There are essentially 3 steps to the disciplinary process with regards to behavior issues. One or more steps may be skipped based on the nature or seriousness of the infraction. As you become more experienced with this process, it will be easier to determine what approach to take. Always seek coaching and direction from your regional manager, and contact your PSE office before proceeding with any official disciplinary procedures. First, the student will be given a warning and a letter of encouragement, or LOE. Some behavior might be seen as borderline or based on extenuating circumstances. Certain behaviors may be justified, but not acceptable, depending on the situation. Second, the student will be put on a positive action plan, or PAP. This is a notification of behavior which is compromising the quality of the program. Here, the student is notified of the unacceptable behavior and given goals to work on. Lastly is probation. The student is given a very strict set of guidelines to adhere to that will determine their eligibility to continue on the program. If this occurs, the regional manager should also speak to the student directly. Now, we're going to talk about what PSE uses as a benchmark when preparing the disciplinary letters and setting student goals. The PSE Terms of Participation, or TOP, includes a list of PSE student roles and expectations with regards to the student's behavior while in the United States. This document is located in multiple locations: the PSE Student, Host Family, and Local Coordinator Handbooks, and may also be found in the ZAP Resources section. These rules and expectations were agreed to and signed by the student and natural parents when applying to the PSE program. Now, we will explore how to handle conflicts when they arise. Effective communication between the student and the host family is critical to a successful exchange experience for everyone. Here are some best practices. Please make sure all your host families and students fill out the expectations worksheet to improve communication and avoid conflict. Gather all the facts before forming opinions. Things are not always as they seem. Also, be sure to speak with both parties to make sure you have all the facts. Remember to avoid language that suggests blame when discussing the problem. Implement a mediation session between all parties involved and follow up with phone calls and additional meetings. PSE offers a student support issues training which explains how to conduct a productive mediation session and how to effectively handle and report specific student issues. This training is located in the Resources section of ZAP. Seek help from your regional manager if the situation escalates and further intervention is required. If the student is experiencing a behavioral problem, then they will be clearly advised of the changes required to successfully continue on the PSE program. In most cases, a positive action plan or PAP will be given. If all attempts for resolution fail, it will be necessary for the local coordinator to find a new host family for the student. If relocation is deemed necessary after mediation has failed, please contact your regional manager to proceed with the steps for securing a new host family. The new host family will need to go through the same screening process as all host families. Also, no student is allowed to move without approval from the PSE office and a completed application. Please note that if any situation arises where the safety or well-being of the student is in question, then the student will need to be removed from the host family home immediately. With student relocation or a student move, understanding how to prevent this from occurring is the key. Here are some ways to prevent student relocation. Help foster consistent and effective communication between the student and the host family. Don't ignore warning signs or red flags. Make sure that the host family is included in the action plan process. They should have one as well as the student. Following the PSE mediation process is critical for resolving conflicts and ensuring a successful exchange experience. Again, following up regularly after a mediation ensures that everyone is doing their part. If mediation and every attempt has been made to resolve issues between the student and host family, and there's still tension, it may be determined that a host family move is necessary. Please remember, however, that if the student feels unsafe in any way or is in any danger at all, then they need to be removed from the home immediately. What if your host family tells you that they're no longer able to host their student and that the student will need to leave their house by the next evening? What do? One of the basic local coordinator responsibilities is the ability to provide emergency housing for students. A designated emergency family is a family who is pre-screened with a host family application on file and ready to host a student in the instance of an emergency move. It's important to be proactive and have a designated emergency family in place, whether it's your own family or another, so that when emergencies happen, you can respond quickly and efficiently. Please contact your regional manager if you have any additional questions or need assistance. Student travel, insurance, and departure. A PSE permission to travel form needs to be submitted if travel involves the student traveling alone, or the student traveling with someone other than the host family, the student traveling internationally. This includes Mexico and Canada. The student traveling on a plane, the trip being longer than 72 hours, or if the student will be missing school. Here is the general process for student travel approval. First, the student will need to complete a Permission to Travel request, or PTR. The travel request form needs to include a detailed itinerary with phone numbers and addresses of where the student will be staying. Then, the local coordinator or regional manager will submit this form to the PSE office. Please note that all travel requests should be submitted to the PSE office at least 2 weeks prior to the departure date. If a student will be missing any school, they will need to receive a school official's signature on their travel form to verify approval. And travel should never be booked until approval is granted. The Permission to Travel request forms are included in the orientation packets, and are also located in the Resources section of ZAP. Also, please remember that host families should always carry a copy of the student's insurance card and medical release information when traveling. If the student is traveling with an adult other than the host parents, PSE will not require additional background screening or references. The permission to travel requests are approved based on the original information provided. If the travel plans change, PSE approval needs to be reconfirmed. Students and host families need to report any changes immediately to their coordinator. It is the responsibility of the student to notify the PSE office or the local coordinator of any changes. If approval is not reconfirmed, then a student may face disciplinary action or possible program termination. Communication is key. Before embarking on any international travel, students will need to receive approval from both PSE and the school that has issued their I-20. If a student wishes to travel internationally, it is their responsibility to contact the appropriate consulates and gather information regarding entry and exit of the desired country of travel. The student will also need to have the school official sign the second page of their I-20 in the travel endorsement section for reentry. Also, even with proper documentation, students with F1 visa status are not guaranteed the right to re-enter the United States. PSE has no influence over the student's exit from and entry back into the United States. If a student is refused re-entry into the United States, then they may be deported back to their home country. Here's an important note. Returning students should contact their school official before leaving for the summer to make sure that the I-20 form is updated and the second page is signed in the travel endorsement section for re-entry when they return. Now, we will explore student insurance. Students should carry their PSE ID card and insurance card with them at all times. If they have non-issued PSE insurance, the insurance card would have been given to them prior to departure from their home country. In addition, please ensure that the student and host family call the phone number that is listed on the insurance card in order to find an in-network doctor who's covered by the insurance. This will prevent the student from going to an unapproved location, which may result in the student being responsible for a percentage of the treatment that is not covered by the insurance. If the clinic or doctor's office does not accept the student's insurance, the student is responsible for paying and will then need to submit the claim for reimbursement. Host families should never sign any documents regarding medical payment responsibilities, especially ones that infer that they're responsible for all medical fees. If a clinic or hospital is requiring this signature in order to treat the student, please instruct the host family to contact PSE. Here are some examples of what is typically covered and what is typically not covered by our student insurance. The following are typically covered by insurance: a sprained ankle, antibiotics for infections, an emergency room visit after an accident, a visit to urgent care, or necessary hospitalization. The following are not typically covered by insurance: immunizations. It's also important to note that we should have the natural parent's permission for these. School physicals, eye exams and glasses, routine dental or orthodontic care, any pre-existing conditions, or treatment for allergies. Now, we will explore best practices and requirements pertaining to student departure and preparing them for the return to their home country. Students will need to depart from their host family's home within 1 week of the last day of school or graduation. Please start receiving the flight information from your students during the middle of April and send this to the PSE office. As a reminder, PSE is not a summer program, and students are not allowed to stay during the summer months. We do not provide oversight, stipend, or insurance during this time. Also in April, start confirming separately with your students and host families if they want to continue with the same placements for next year. Try to get all your returning students' placements confirmed before they return to their home country. Assist your returning students with finding storage for their belongings for the summer months. And make sure your students clean their rooms, pack, and prepay for any boxes that need to be shipped home. You have seen most of these common abbreviations and terms in Part 2 of the Local Coordinator Training. Please become familiar with these as you will be hearing them and using them frequently in PSE communications. You may pause this training to review these terms, then press the play button to continue. This is the end of Part 2 of the PSE Local Coordinator Training. If you have any questions regarding information contained in this training, please contact your regional manager. Thank you.